Because if you just, and I know lots of people have talked about this on your show, so I won't belabor the point, but if you look at the spending of $4.5 trillion a year, right, on healthcare in the United States, and then you say, well, what do we lead the world in? Well, as of December 6th, we were ranked 66th in the world in life expectancy. We lead the world in morbid obesity, type 2 diabetes, multiple chronic disease in the single biome, meaning not just our population has multiple different chronic diseases, but multiple chronic diseases in the same body, because most people don't just have one autoimmune disease, or they're not just hypertensive and diabetic. They're hypertensive, diabetic, and hypothyroid with an autoimmune, usually multiple autoimmune. We lead the world in infant mortality, maternal mortality. And so you got to ask yourself, how is $4.5 trillion a year in spending leading to these kinds of consequences? And very often it's actually not the food, it's the distance from the food to the table. So it's not necessarily the plant, it's what we're doing to process these plants to get them on the table. And so I think what you're going to see is these GRAS guidelines, generally regarded as safe, which is essentially how the FDA decides whether or not you can micropoison the population. So we are allowed to micropoison the population, right? We're allowed to put certain amounts of pesticides, herbicides, insecticides, preservatives.
That is a great way of putting it, too. It's micropoisoning.
Yeah.
So that's really what's happening.
It's exactly what's happening. And a lot of experts will say the dosage determines the poison. And that's largely untrue when you talk about cumulative dose toxicity, meaning if I give you this sandwich and this piece of tuna fish and it has a very small safe amount of lead or mercury, it's probably not going to hurt you, right? But if you don't methylate that metal out of your body and you keep eating that same kind of fish, I mean, nobody got mercury poisoning from a single piece of tuna fish. What they got mercury poisoning from was continuing to eat the same thing over and over and over and over again, and they got a cumulative dose toxicity, which is what a lot of foreign countries use. So in other words, I can't just say if I put, 1 drop of arsenic in this glass, is that going to kill you? It might make you mildly sick, cause an inflammatory process. Maybe it's not going to kill you. But if you drink one of those 5 times a day, 7 days a week, now you're toxic. And that's what's happened to our country. We didn't get here quickly. We got here by slowly stacking these micropoisons.
Right, but is it possible to change all of, whatever we use seed oil for? Is it possible to swap that out for olive oil or beef tallow? Or
yes.
I know there's some companies doing, like Masa makes these great tortilla chips that
Love
are just
Masa.
Organic corn.
Yeah,
tallow.
Organic corn,
they
grass-fed
taste
beef tallow.
like it too. Like you feel like you're eating food.
Yeah.
We talked about those Vandry chips too.
Yeah,
Vandy chips. I love those.
I do too.
They're so good. It's just potatoes and beef tallow with a little salt, and they're and it tastes like food.
Yeah.
Like when I eat them, I don't feel like a piece of shit. Like if I eat a bag of Doritos, I feel like a fucking loser. Yeah. Even while I'm eating, I'm like, oh, you loser, shut up, Pop my like, shut up. These are delicious.
You shame yourself. You're like, Joe, I'm so disappointed in you.
But isn't it possible to just replace those, or would it require? Is it one of those things like there's an issue with factory farming? Everybody thinks factory farming is disgusting when it comes to animals. It's vile what they do to chickens and pigs. But is it possible to give everyone cheeseburgers in food deserts without factory farming? Like, have we gotten so far ahead of ourselves that we don't have sustainable regenerative agriculture as an option?
I don't think so at all.
So you think that all the foods, all the salad dressings and all the French fries and all the things that are cooked in food oil, we have enough beef tallow, we have enough olive oil, we have enough avocado oil that we could switch all those things out and everything would be great?
I mean, a lot of these farms don't use the bones from these cattle. They don't use the hide from these cattle. They don't boil down the collagen from these cattle. And they certainly are not making the tallow from the fat from the cattle that are being slaughtered.
So there's a lot of tallow that's going to waste.
A lot of tallow, a lot of bone broth, a lot of bones, a lot of cartilage. That's entirely going to waste. And if you look at a lot of countries, they will use the entire animal. They'll boil down the bones. They'll use the hide. They'll use the bone marrow.
It's kind of crazy because there's a big market for bone broth. There's a big market for beef tallow. Why wouldn't they? I mean, they're just wasting money.
I think you have the perception that there's a big market for it because you're kind of in the know, right? You're probably in the, I hate to use this term, but woke 1%.